2 goals down, away from home in Madrid, fighting for the defence of our European title. Can Thomas Tuchel's brave blue boys do it? Is it written in the stars? Hey friends, what's going on? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well. I really do hope that. And welcome to 5 reasons why Chelsea can overcome the deficit against Real Madrid in the Champions League and qualify for the next round, win the game away in the Santiago Bernabéu, fighting off the offensive threat of both Vinicius Jr. and Karim Benzema. We can do it. It can happen. Stories are made in the Champions League, and I'm going to tell you why today via the 5 reasons. So strap yourselves in and get comfortable, and I hope you enjoy this content, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get into it and start off with reason 1 and talk about tactical naivety. That's right, if you go back to the first leg and looked how we were cooked, there was 2 main reasons. It was letting Vinicius Jr. cook completely down the left flank, roasting us over and over, and really not watching with a close eye their biggest and nearly only threat in Karim Benzema. Now, Karim Benzema, of course, is in the form of his life and having Ballon d'Or shouts. When you played Chelsea back in 2015 to 2019, what did you say? Put a man on Eden Hazard, or put 2 men on Eden Hazard. Just don't let him do what he wants to do. And when teams successfully did that to Chelsea, we had problems. I know we're a systemic team, but ultimately, look at what Real Madrid are doing. Everything amazing comes from those 2, most notably Karim Benzema. He's the man that's going to score your goals, and he was always going to be the man to score against Chelsea. He did last year in the semi-final in the Champions League, and he was the man to do it yet again. In fact, scoring a hat-trick. And in terms of being naive and not thinking about him, he had scored a hat-trick in the previous round against Paris Saint-Germain. Why can't you just look what he's just done? Watch him. I know it's easier said than done, and I know hindsight's 20/20, but just watch him learning from your mistakes. Karim Benzema, look how he scored his goals, look at the space we afforded him, and look at Vinicius Jr. running down that left-hand side and roasting us over and over and over on that flank. Hello there, mate. Just a quick reminder to please do drop a like on this video, and why not consider subscribing if you're new to the content. Daily videos, of course. Cheers, mate. So that brings us on to point 2. We go from tactical naivety to the right centre-back spot. Now really, that was Chelsea's biggest weakness throughout the 90 minutes in that game. Of course, it didn't help Edouard Mendy passing the ball out, and ultimately taking a 2-1 loss to the Bernabeu would be a lot more comfortable than a 3-1 loss. That was our own fault. We have to move on from that. But that right centre-back spot was getting roasted over and over and over by Vinicius Jr. Of course, Andreas Christensen was occupying said spot. He obviously played a lot better against Southampton away in the Premier League, but that was not the same scenario / same situation. You know what happened at the end of that Southampton game? Reece James came on and occupied that right centre-back spot. So, you could play Reece James at right centre-back to actually stay with Vinicius Jr. on transitions and have someone fast and pacey to keep up with him. Thomas Tuchel has played Reece James quite a few times in the right centre-back spot. In fact, many people speculated when we were looking closely at Achraf Hakimi at right wing-back that obviously you buy him to start, but everyone was thinking, what happens to world-class Reece James? Some people speculated Thomas Tuchel had long-term plans to put Reece James at right centre-back, especially if you consider Azpilicueta getting older, and at the time, Thomas Tuchel generally played Andreas Christensen down the middle. So you can eliminate the tactical naivety and maybe make some personnel change positionally, and you could play Reece James at right centre-back. That might upset a lot of people in terms of losing his offensive threat on the wing-back position. But first things first, do not concede in this game. That even if you do concede 1, you might score more goals and the tie could be alive, but ultimately, that's what you have to think. No goals allowed, and to do that, you got to keep up and keep quiet Vinicius Jr. or keep up with, and Reece James can do that. Of course, failing that, maybe Cesar Azpilicueta to come into that right centre-back spot. I know he was out last game for a positive test, so we'll have to see what happens with him. But me personally, you can't just throw everything forward and be naive. Vinicius Jr. is going to look to eat us alive again. You need speed in that right centre-back spot. Alright, reason 3 for me is quite a simple one, and that's Chelsea's away form. The fact is, we had 2 really poor results at Stamford Bridge, and though the atmosphere is generally good at Stamford Bridge, great support for the team, the manager, and indeed the whole club throughout this vulnerable transitional period, Chelsea seemed to play better under Tuchel away from home a lot of the time. Their away form has been really, really impressive, and when you lose 2 on the bounce at home, conceding 7 goals, and of course that includes 4 to Brentford at home, it's nice to see the pressure off when they go away from home. And what is testament to that is going away from home the very next game and scoring 6 with no reply. 6-0 away from home. This Chelsea team likes to go away in Europe and have these big European tests, especially think about the Champions League final last season. Away in Porto, big atmosphere, Man City were pretty darn heavy favourites to win that game if you looked at the respective forms of both teams, how they finished the season domestically and how Chelsea fell into the back 4 backwards, losing on the final day. Man City were favourites to beat Chelsea by a long way. But it was away from Stamford Bridge, they had a mission, they had a location, they had a task, and they went and they did it and they performed magnificently. So, I think this is a genuinely good point. Away form, the pressure off away from home. I don't know why this is a thing. If you ask me, this absolutely shouldn't be a thing, but seemingly, it's a thing. Right, let's move on to point 4, and that is the in-form King Kai Havertz and haircut Mason Mount. Of course, Kai Havertz is a pretty simple one. He's been in scintillating form for a long time. Scored in the 6-0, of course, and was brought off at half-time. Tuchel was like, right, you scored a goal, mate. You've had your fun. Your first name on the team sheet in terms of attacking. I'm wrapping you up for Real Madrid. You start. And to be honest, there's not much of a conversation to have in terms of Kai Havertz. That's it. Get him on, start him, let him continue his good form, let him continue his good feeling. He can score headers, he can score tap-ins, he can score long-range goals. Kai Havertz starts, and similarly, Mason Mount. Now, up until Southampton, Mason Mount wasn't in the greatest of form, and of course, people are turning to the haircut. There was that edit released on social media of him flicking his long hair loads, and it's almost like he saw that, took it personally, and just got a fade trim immediately, and came back with a vengeance in terms of his form. Now look, he absolutely hates Southampton. He's a Portsmouth boy, Mason Mount. Therefore, the Saints are the enemy, and he always plays good against them. But he played really, really well against Southampton. His football was magnificent. And if you remember, away in Real Madrid before, he played well. He scored against Real Madrid. I can't remember if it was away in Spain or if it was at home. But he has put in great performances against them before. He's coming off a great performance. He will want to fight for Chelsea and he will want to play very, very well. Like Kai Havertz, I think Mason Mount is very close in terms of next name on the team sheet. And in terms of completing the attackers, you could think Hakim Ziyech, Timo Werner, or Christian Pulisic. I don't actually think Christian Pulisic played that well when he came on against Southampton. I think he was probably the most quiet. Maybe you bring in Hakim Ziyech and move Mason Mount over, or maybe you bring in Hakim Ziyech and play him up front with Kai Havertz and have Mason Mount in just behind. Like Southampton, Mason Mount was almost like the tip of a diamond in there, so you could do that against Real Madrid. If Mount's going to cook there, play him there again, and then, Ziyech can play up front next to a striker. Why not? Many of you will be saying, Timo Werner, amazing against Southampton. But the thing is with Timo Werner, he is amazing against Southampton. I mean, he did score against Real Madrid last year. Yeah. He needs space to run into, man, like transitionally. I don't think he's necessarily... Look, if he starts, back him, because he might continue his form. He's just scored 2 goals. He might fancy it. Join the Chelsea party. Better late than never. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below in terms of completing the lineup. Right, let's get into point 5. Reason 5, Chelsea can overcome the deficit against Real Madrid away in the Santiago Bernabéu is one of their ex-players, and that of course is Mateo Kovacic. Now, Mateo Kovacic didn't start in the first leg, and Thomas Tuchel, the manager, opted for a Jorginho and Kante midfield. Jorginho has not been great lately, he's not been in his best form, and generally over the entire season, you'd have to say Mateo Kovacic has been Chelsea's best midfielder. Apart from that, he would have had like a drive to play well against him because he's his former club, it's Kovacic versus Modric, etc, etc, etc. For me, it's a given that you start him. I would absolutely start him in this game. probably next to Kante. He probably works, but that would probably suit us the most against Kroos, Modric and Casemiro. You need legs around him and you need to probably chase the ball a lot of the time. For me, it doesn't really suit to have Jorginho in there, and the fact how we'll be chasing and working because we're 2 goals behind, you need to start those 2 midfielders. But more than that, Kovacic is one of the best ball progressors in Europe in terms of getting the ball up pitch, carrying you up there. But also, if you look at this season, Mateo Kovacic, the number 8 Mateo Kovacic, the evolved Pokemon version of Mateo Kovacic, his through balls, him playing through the strikers. Obviously, he had that link with Lukaku, he's played through other strikers. We'll need that. Kai Havertz will be looking for that. Mason Mount will be looking for that. And indeed, whoever starts up front with Kai. Really, really important we start Mateo Kovacic in this game. Look guys, it's not necessarily likely, and in fact, it's pretty unlikely. Before this tie happened, people thought, ooh, Chelsea slight favourites. Now, massive outsiders, 2-0 down, going away from home, and of course Karim Benzema in the form of his life. But follow these 5 points, these 5 reasons, and Chelsea can do it. I'm sure Thomas Tuchel will be doing heavy data analysis of the first leg, how they played, on the weekend, like, how we played on the weekend. Like I said, maybe move Mount to the tip of the diamond, and he will act accordingly. But what do you guys think? I want to put it out to you guys. Please reflect on everything that I've said. Comment down below. And I urge you guys, please do drop a like and subscribe if you're new. There's daily content, of course, different kinds of content on the channel, and you might enjoy it. So, should you subscribe, make sure all notifications are turned on when you click the bell. Alright then, see you very soon. Peace.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me baby.